right, guys, welcome to this episode of Scale is Needed. That's right, kicking it off nice and aggressive. The only person in the room with any sort of energy, Arm and Hammer.
Kyle Bogart. I botched it.
Yeah, you missed Kyle taking just a massive bong grip, apparently, right before we started.
Yep.
Wow.
Cliff Bogart. Daniel Kalbacher.
Wow. All right. Well,
we're in it now.
Yes. That's a hell of a start. So, let's see. Here's the deal.
Yes.
Okay.
We have some fitness things to talk about.
Fitness.
Oh my God.
We have some real deal fitness things to talk about.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, that's
And it's
news to me.
It's not about simple things like how a regional is going to be different next year or who's going to win the CrossFit Games.
It's about complex things like gender identity.
Sure. It's about things like, why the hell was I wearing pants at the gym yesterday?
It's very common. It was hilarious is how bummed out and self-conscious you were. You were like a kid who is just like kind of like kicking the dirt, you know, and just like, Mom, you made me wear this. I'm so embarrassed.
Yes, I was guy who wears inappropriate clothes to the gym guy.
You sure were.
So
yesterday.
wait, Armin, before we get into it, how did this happen? How give us your story so we can know how it won't happen to us in the future.
I was in a rush on my way out of the house yesterday morning, and just did not take any of my gym clothes with me. And then I asked my beautiful fiancée Catherine if she would provide me with gym shorts on her way to the gym. Just grab them from the house. Yep. And slipped her mind as well. Yes. So I was left to exercise in my ABC pants.
Yes.
Which for $130 pair of Lululemon slacks, they really held up nicely. I would say.
Armin, your decision to work out in the pants you had reflects the difference between yourself and myself as regards working out. I have on occasion forgotten to bring my gym shorts to the gym. Even made it to the gym, realized I didn't put gym shorts in the gym. You know what that means for me? Hey, great! I ain't working out today. Fuck yeah!
I had. That's actually funny you should say that, because what happened to me yesterday is I left the office early, as I always do, and I went to the gym, was working out, had finished my squats, and then my phone went off and it said that I realized I'd forgotten a 4 o'clock meeting. So I just walked out of the gym, got in my car, drove, walked into the meeting with chalk on my hands, covered in sweat, sat down, had the meeting, got up, got in my car, drove back, and then just picked up my workout right where it left off afterwards. That's commitment.
That is commitment.
It's commitment.
That's beautiful.
And it's also highlighting a thing that I've realized, just how easy we have it, like here. It's like many of my friends, like to get to the gym or to get home, it is a 45-minute to an hour plus trek.
Yeah,
for me, it is 5 minutes to get to the gym.
5 minutes, yeah.
5 minutes to get home.
We do have it very easy here. I have not seen Cliff and Kyle in the office before 11 a.m. or after 3 p.m.
in a while.
In 2 years.
So no. Well, you haven't
things are slow right now.
I was at the office at 10 a.m. today, but in order to because they're scheduling me for meetings now at like 10 a.m. and 9:45 a.m. and so as a result, I'm taking an hour-and-a-half break in the middle of the day to make up for the time I otherwise would have been not at work.
That's a good point.
It's funny to watch this happen because I don't think Cliff realizes this, but there will be a moment in time when that's not cool anymore, and it's coming up rapidly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
What we should talk about is more office stuff.
Yeah, that's right. It's very important.
So my thing with Armin and your not gym pants. It was funny because I walk into the gym, I see Kyle, and he immediately grabs me and goes, "Make fun of Armin. Make fun of Armin for his pants. Like, let him know that." So that's what I do. I immediately make fun of you. And then get to the point where I'm doing the bench there. I'm on the bench, and I realize, shit, I need someone to spot me. I need help. So I grab Armin, and I'm like, dude, I need you to spot me real quick. And I'm just thinking to myself, if the day when Armin wears, you know, regular pants to the gym is the day I get decapitated by a bar, like I lose this.
Yes.
I lose this.
I had a real
Decapitated
clear,
by a bar.
I had a
or
real
bear?
clear opportunity
Is
there
that-
to win.
Yeah.
All right.
I could have won definitively. Bring up my pants again, motherfucker. Hurts. Help me. Help me.
Apologize. I don't believe you.
Hey, say what again?
you know what's really easy in these pants? Breathing.
Yeah.
Nice.
That would be that. I would have to come up with a
You'd have to have
Running
like a
Man-esque pun. You know, press this, or you know what is pressed? My pants. I don't
Or
know.
you just say, or as the bar's coming down, you just say, always bet on black. And then,
just
just
oh,
because.
I got it from Commando. You know when I told you I'd spot you? I lied. Just walk away from.
No, better yet. You let it fall and you say, well, I'm taller.
There we go.
There we go.
See you at the party,
Wait,
Daniel.
Armin, do you get that line? Do you get it?
Yes.
you
Well,
get
I'm
it.
taller. Yeah,
Okay.
of course.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Kyle was the one who didn't
Yes,
get it
yes.
all these years.
All those years.
All
yeah.
those years.
I was a boy. Yeah.
I was a boy.
I was a boy.
I was a boy.
So let's see.
Looking at a girl, asking her to love me. Jerry
Or
Maguire.
to spot you.
Nice.
Show me the money.
Solid.
The human head weighs 8 pounds. Which gets us back to fitness.
Dogs and bees can smell fear.
A lot of good lines in that movie. I'm just saying.
Anyway, we actually have a question for. We're going to discuss this topic right now, and we have handsome guy Chase on the ones and twos over there.
What up?
DJing our Facebook live feed, I guess. I don't
Yeah,
know. Either way, we have a question for all of you who are listening right now, whether you're listening to it live or you are going to be listening to it later. We want you to tell us, how do you think that the 2018 regionals are going to be different than the regionals that we have been seeing over the past few years? And we know they're going to be different. We know they're going to be different because Dave Castro himself said that regionals next year are going to be different. They're going to be different than what we expect. They're going to change from how they have been.
I think there's going to be a significantly larger number of iPhone 8s at that regionals.
That
than
is
this
probably
year.
a true statement.
Yes.
Unless, of course, the next iPhone is not called the iPhone 8.
Yes.
Then you'd be dead wrong.
I would be
Dead wrong.
in that context.
Yes.
But the iPhones will definitely be different.
Right. Give
at
me
the
other
iPhone.
things. Give me other things that we
are
know are going
different.
to be different with 2018.
We'll probably be in a new gubernatorial session with a new candidate in certain states.
a
I don't really
great
know.
word.
I don't know how it breaks down
Yeah.
exactly. There's going to be
Careening towards midterms.
Yes, careening towards midterms. Very important. Let's see what else.
Is the governor head of the government? Is that how it works?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's what it is.
yes. The goober in chief.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to that episode, guys. This was a disaster.
We're talking about regionals. This is CrossFit related.
Yes.
Yes.
So
So what does Dave Castro, the governor of the CrossFit Games, have to say about how they'll be different?
Look it up
next
on the
year?
pooter.
Dave Castro has given no details, zero details,
Yeah.
not one single detail as to what the difference is going to be. He just said
Has
it's
he
going to be
suggested
different.
the category of difference?
Not even nothing.
Yeah.
He hasn't even given
Is
us
it
an
different
idea of
workouts
whether
or a
it's
different
structured.
format
Well,
or regional breakdown? What are we talking about?
I looked at the article and you discussed the idea that currently there's like wild disparities even in in the number of regional competitors per region. So like just looking at the women's side, there were like 20,000 women vying for a spot in Europe, but like 3,000 vying for a spot out of Africa, and
Right.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so maybe does he mean the format is changing in that there will be a different number of regionals breaking down across the thing, or the actual format of the competition would be different? I do like the idea of there being a global leaderboard. But how would that work? Would you still have regional competitions, or would you just? It's like at the point at which you have a global leaderboard, then you're bringing people together in a non sort of geographically designated way. And if you end up doing that, then what's the fucking point, really, of having the games as a separate event?
Right.
So I don't know.
Well, that's a good question. And so, this article that Kyle's referencing, we just put it out earlier this morning. Here it is with our pre-roll going up on the TV back there. But we just put it out this morning. And the idea behind it is pretty simple. It's like, here's what the goals of the CrossFit Games are. It's cast a really wide net so the most amount of people who want to participate can participate, and narrow it down so that the best of the best make it through each round until you get to the CrossFit Games. And so right now, arguably, they're doing the first one. They're casting the largest net possible because the Open is online and it's like $20 to participate. So there isn't really a big barrier of entry as long as you have the internet and $20. But it's also arguably not achieving their second goal, which is the best of the best aren't necessarily making it to regionals and aren't necessarily making it to the games. And right now, the biggest sort of like obvious version of that is if you look at a region like Europe, right? Because like Europe, I just looked at the women's numbers because it was much easier to just kind of focus on one versus the other. But in Europe, there's just over 21,000 women signed up for the Open. In California, there was less than half that many women.
Really?
California total. That's between NorCal and SoCal.
Oh, wow.
That's weird.
Interesting.
Huh. So them Europeans, they do fitness there.
They do fitness, right?
Yeah.
They do fitness and they do it big, right?
Yeah.
And so, when you look at
They have a
something
participatory spirit over there. They like to join things, band together, initiate change.
I
Genocide.
was going to go with the social community routes. But that's cool. Genocide's also the next logical
They should
step
give all of them armbands, these guys. They like to, they want to be part of a group.
Well, they
in
like
Europe.
to be identified by numbers.
Yes, exactly.
That disparity of size.
A lot of names on lists on the CrossFit Games.
That's right. Schindlers.games.crossfit.com.
Holocaust.
Kill all Jews.
Jesus
Sorry.
Christ.
Just to make
Jesus. Wow. Things got real dark there.
live, folks.
Anyway,
live out there forever.
So the size of the Europe regional is vast.
I want to say hi to all of our German listeners. Thank you.
And I don't know what the solution is. My solution was a couple different things. Like, if you want to keep the structure, the Open regionals game structure, you can reshuffle the regionals a little bit, right? You kind of redraw the lines. Don't even do it, dude. Don't even do it. You can reshuffle the lines and you can kind of make more equivalent populations. Like maybe a southern and northern Europe or an eastern and western Europe.
So you're advocating for population control.
Population control.
What I'm saying is you build a wall. You build a wall in the Open leaderboard, and you make everyone participating pay for it. It's very simple.
I don't even know what I'm laughing at anymore.
Okay. The other solution would be...
tell me about your final solution.
This got us a bit off fitness talk here. That was the idea.
Fittler.
Finally got everyone laughing.
God, come on. So here's Fiddler's final solution to the regionals problem.
That could be an ongoing segment. Fiddler's final solution. Finally, we got Chase laughing. Finally, we got Chase laughing.
He's literally fucking crying.
Oh yeah, I can't.
Oh God, that was okay.
Alrighty.
Good.
So
I'm just
has-
imagining the graphic.
So, you guys want to continue the last episode of Scales Needed?
Yeah. So
It's
has
been a wild ride, you guys.
yeah.
We almost made it a year.
Has anybody commented on answering our question so far? Because I just don't want to.
yeah. 2018 regionals will introduce, and fucking Brian put this in here only because he knows I can't pronounce it. Pancration to CF.
Oh, pancration.
Pancration, yeah.
Yeah, it's a fighting. It's a
It's a
fighting
mixture of
sport.
boxing and
Nice.
wrestling.
Is that the 5-on-5 fighting?
No, that's
no.
just that's
I
the
don't really know
old
what
Greek
it's about.
sport. In the
Also-
Greek Olympics, there was boxing, there was wrestling, there was pancration. It's basically mixed martial arts,
Pancration.
no rules.
Yeah.
But in modern pancration, there's no punching to the face.
Yeah.
That's a
There
good
you go.
rule. I
Yeah.
like that
That
rule.
was way too fitness
Your
serious.
Cliff is still
related.
recovering.
Cliff is still recovering.
Somehow Cliff is also on the show and commenting at the same time.
Oh.
So it proves how much he's paying attention.
Oh wait, that would be another.
no.
That would
Oh,
be
but
another
our dad?
Cliff. That'd be Dad.
The other
Dad?
Cliff.
Okay.
That is
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
Cliff is his own dad?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or the dad. Cliff is
And my
Cliff
own
is the
grandpa.
third.
Yes,
Yeah.
Cliff is the third Cliff Bogart.
Yeah.
We've talked about this.
Wow.
Yeah, our father is Cliff Bogart Jr. So
That's right.
Who is the 31st fittest man in his age group and region
That's right.
in the CrossFit Open this year.
So badass.
There you go.
His call on here says there will be no dumbbells.
Oh, yes.
That's
Yes.
an interesting turn of
That
events.
is a good, yes. That would be certainly a big course correction back to where it was before.
Right. So, I mean, who knows? Format-wise, you mentioned the global leaderboard. That's an interesting idea. I think that's a really good solution. I think that if you were
But how
to,
did global leaderboard situation actually break down?
it
though?
only works if CrossFit is willing to basically just start from scratch when it comes to the entire process, blow up the whole premise. Right? It only works if they blow the whole premise up.
Yeah.
And so the idea
With
would-
atomic power.
yes, yes.
We've done the Europe thing.
A blitz of sorts.
They're only willing to blitz the entire process. So the idea would be you use the global leaderboard from the open and qualify like the top 300 or 400 from the actual worldwide open leaderboard into regionals, and then regionals would be just geographically split for convenience of access as opposed to competition.
Yeah,
and so
presumably they could probably know well in advance of those numbers actually shaking out
where
to plan where the region would be located.
Yeah, I mean,
You
you
know.
put 3 stateside and 3 international, and
Yeah,
you'll
yeah.
hit everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
And
you
you
put
know
one
that
in Australia,
one in a
couple
convenient
in
European
Europe,
location, yeah.
and then 3 stateside, and
Yeah.
you're pretty much
Yeah.
set. And
So
then
basically, if you live in like Asia, there's no point for you even signing up for the Open because you're not going to
Well,
make
I
it.
mean, you
no,
could
that's not true.
qualify,
This
but you
year,
could, yeah.
this year, a South African competitor qualified for the CrossFit Games,
Yeah.
and it's like that, and he's not like an expat.
Yeah, he's
I
actually
mean, he's
from
actually
South Africa.
he's actually from South Africa.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean that you
Yeah.
can't compete. And actually, there's plenty of people who do really well during the Open,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like if you place into the top 300 in the Open, you've already proven generally that you have what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
So no one who's in that space isn't going to regionals right now. I don't think.
Yeah.
You know, really the people who benefit the most from this is but to finish up my regionals thing. So basically, you'd split regionals up into 2 weekends. You have like 3 competitions on one weekend, 3 competitions on another weekend, and each of those weekends is its own leaderboard as well. So you take like the top 20 from all 3 of those competitions ranked together, as opposed to individually. You're basically like splitting the one competition into 3 different spaces. Does that make sense? So like what that does is, again, you take the people who are the best across these events, and it won't perfect the system, but it at least kind of like shaves off that, what happens if everyone competes in the same weekend. But then, you know, really the people who are suffering the most from this and the ones who have the most to benefit is Europe.
Yep.
Because right now, you know, if you take the 30th place
Yep.
qualifier from Europe, they would place in the top 7 or 8 in any other region in the world
Yeah.
during the Open.
Yeah, and the argument there's also like this would be for the benefit of you take your 30th through whatever who would qualify out of Europe to a spot at the regional, but was now being taken by a spot that's allocated to Africa or it's allocated somewhere else. and here's the real question though: is as more fair as that might be to those people who maybe deserve to go to regionals, but they aren't going to regionals. Does any of this really affect the outcome of who ends up kind of at the CrossFit Games ultimately?
I think it would.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I think.
Is there anyone who's going to show up in 38th place in Europe who's now going to get to regionals who's then going to qualify for the games? Does that happen?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I think at this point you can't rule out anybody by saying, oh, you didn't qualify in a highly ranked spot, right?
Yeah.
So one example of that would be, Katrin is not a great example of that, but look at what she did, right? She was like average placing at the games, failure to qualify, wins the CrossFit Games, right? Graham Holmberg barely qualifies for the games, wins the CrossFit Games, right? And for Graham, it was I forget the exact details, but like if they had just changed part of the scoring, or if they had just adjusted some of the workouts or this or that, he would have been like 1 point out of qualifying instead of 1 point into qualifying. So it's like there's so many differences that can be made out of those very little things. Like there was someone out of even this year out of regionals, I think in the Central Regional, there was a girl, or an Atlantic Regional, who qualified for her very first CrossFit Games and got into regionals in like, the 18th or 19th spot. And she had never really made a splash as an individual. So it's like, there's no more way of saying like, if you're not within the top 8 going into regionals, you're not qualifying for the games, because it just doesn't ring true. So what you want is each step of the competition to be
always advance the fittest group.
Exactly. So you need to be able to bring in from the previous step the fittest people.
Okay, interesting. I'm all for it. You've convinced me. Let's do it. Global leaderboard.
Let's do that.
All right. You hear that, Castro?
Get on it.
Get on it.
All right.
Won't be long now.
That's right. I'll wait. I'll just take my phone out in advance for the confirmation text.
I'm sure he's got some from him. Yeah, he's already putting it into his book that he's writing about the 2017 CrossFit Games experience. Speaking of the games experience, we have all, probably minus Daniel, have all watched the Tahoe.
So let's give this a little bit more context here, I think, because I think something we've all been talking about we brought it up on the podcast a while back, was I think probably the greatest piece of media that was ever created by CrossFit, that we all remembered very much and watched the hell out of, was the Tahoe Throwdown all the way back in 2010. So this was just after the 2010 games, where Graham Holmberg won, Rich Froning came in second. First games pre-Reebok, but first games at the what was it called back then? Center. It was the Home Depot Center back then. So first games at the Home Depot Center, and so they decided, and just to also date the thing, that they were going to bring a team of Rogue-sponsored athletes and a team of Again Faster-sponsored athletes, which is a very old-fashioned sentence in the CrossFit world.
With shoes provided by Innovate.
Yes, with shoes provided by Innovate, all pre-Bach here, to this big ranch or something in Tahoe that winter, and they were going to do a little friendly staying in cabins, competing against each other type competition. And Daniel's bringing it up right now. And they covered it with video, as best they could at the time, and they posted it in a series of episodes, and it is an interesting time capsule, because it really is this beautiful distillation of kind of what CrossFit was at that moment, and a fun competition where you get to see newcomers to the sport like Rich Froning competing against the established heavyweights in the sport like Rob Orlando and various other people. And so we decided, what if we initiated a Tahoe Throwdown rewatch project that'll only take us 3 episodes or so to get through, but but we all watched the first episode of the Tahoe
a lot more than
Throwdown.
3 episodes.
Well, there's a lot of videos, but I think
Yeah.
it was mainly just
There's
the 3
mainly
episodes.
just the 3 episodes,
Just-
but they have a lot of extra videos.
like
that-
the
okay.
events
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff like that. But it's, I think, made so we all ended up rewatching the thing. I think
the first episode.
Yeah, the first episode, and so it was full of gold, just like shit, like right off the bat.
Right
when
off
you
the bat.
start right off the bat. The immediate artifact that you see is Tony Budding.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and if that doesn't really just take you back to a different time.
Yes, a very different time.
May
So-
we never speak his name.
Yes,
the traitor.
exactly. Yes, exactly. So Tony Budding it's still there, and Tony Budding, and this is what's hilarious, is it's Tony Budding introducing us to this fresh-faced newcomer named Rory, who's going to be helping him out.
Who nearly qualified for the CrossFit Games.
Yes, yes. And so this is the first time we see Rory McKernan, and also they're also shooting what I also love about the opening is it's shot in total blackness, no light, still running a camera for some reason. And anyway, it's just letting that play in the background. But yeah, that in itself. Like as soon as I saw Tony Budding, I was just like, because he obviously left and created that other thing that we
Daniel.
will never speak of again.
Look at that top comment just real quick for me.
What's the top comment?
Just scroll down.
Just the top comment on the
YouTube? Oh, yeah.
YouTube says, "I just bassineted all over the place."
So this is the
fantastic.
main theme that runs from the very beginning and the end of this whole competition is newcomer Camille LeBlanc Bazinet is being introduced for the first time to everyone who are just mercilessly hitting on her the entire time,
awkwardly trying to.
like 10 seconds into the video. Is that Pat Burke? I don't remember, who's sitting on the couch with her or something.
Barber or
Yeah,
something,
no.
or no?
I think it was
Pat
Pat Burke who might have been there. But anyway, he was just saying, he was just like, I think you're gonna be cold with your legs all exposed like that. And it's just like everyone is hitting on her continuously, and you can tell she's kind of enjoying all the attention the whole time.
And what we see pretty obvious in the first episode, she has her pick of all these fit guys who have all this capacity, and the one she ends up marrying from this is clearly emerges as the alpha male amongst the bunch, which is Dave Lipson.
Yes.
Dave Lipson, pretty much within the first couple scenes of it,
peacocking around.
Yeah, peacocks around as the alpha male, taking charge of everyone.
Then
being the funny
CrossFit
guy.
Games athletes,
Right.
Dave Lipson.
I mean,
every time.
if you look back at it, you look and you're like, knowing now that they're married and they have been married for a while.
This is where they met on this trip.
Is where they met
Yeah.
on this trip, and there's an interesting moment where Lipson is peacocking, right? He's basically talking, he's alphaing himself to an entire group of people, and if you look, Camille is standing next to him, like looking up at him with this like just goofy smile
Big,
on her
goofy
face.
grin on her face. Yeah,
One of those adorable bangs she had in those days.
Another amazing feature of this video is Miko. Miko
Yes.
Salo is all over this
They actually
video.
pulled him from Finland.
Yes.
And there's a timing thing here. I think this was just a couple months after the 2010 games.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's Tahoe only looks like this during the summer.
Yeah.
And he's never in the States.
Yeah.
Outside of the game season. So my guess is that they pulled everyone together just right after the 2010 CrossFit Games.
Yeah, and what's really cool I like also is the fact that like they're embedded with the Again Faster team for most of the first episode. And they are the sort of these scrappy underdogs, basically, because the Rogue team, who we interact with very little in the first episode, is all the heavyweights of CrossFit, like Graham Holmberg Matt Chan and all these other people. And then we have the team of the scrappy underdogs of Camille LeBlanc Bazinet and Rich Froning, who is this sort of wallflower who's just sort of lingering in the background. Like there's
the aw shucks guy.
Like while Dave Lipson is sort of is like holding court and like trying to tell everyone to do, like the camera pans over briefly and like leaning against a rail like 20 feet away is like is Rich Froning going and just sort of laughing along with the crowd and it's interesting. Another person who popped in there was Austin Malleolo, who just sort of made his first big splash.
And Hobart.
This is what I remember, by the way, from seeing it for the first time. Was remember that Austin Malleolo appeared in the CrossFit Games in 2010 as this mysterious figure, all in white.
Yes,
with just a white fucking sleeves and pants there, and you never heard him say anything, and he never showed any personality.
And then he spoke.
And then he spoke. And it's like, yeah, he was a weirdo then, weirdo now.
No. What I found funny is that he looked like this tough. You knew that he was from like the east, from like the Northeast, and he looks like this, like almost like
former
he's
hockey player.
Yeah, he looks like this tough little like wrestler or hockey player or something like that. And then you speak, and he starts speaking in the hot tub, and he goes, "Oh, he's a huge nerd." Like you just, and it was. I remember it was so surprising because he looked so intimidating. Like he came in, I think 5th that year, or no, I think maybe better than that.
This is a fantastic moment where Camille does like a weighted pull up with 40 or 50 pounds, and Dave Castro is like, "You ever seen a girl do a weighted pull up with 50 pounds?" And one of the guys he's talking is like, "Yeah."
No, it's Savan who asked Dave Castro, and Dave Castro's like, he's like, "Yeah." Anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is, it's amazing the state that. Well, that's the other fucked up part. Is like I'm getting flashbacks to what CrossFit was in 2010 because like they see a hill and they're like, let's just have a fun little workout where they like and they all like Miko Salo and Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet and Dave Castro decide to just on the fly go like, all right, like 10 burpees, 20 air squats, race up to the top of the hill, like 3, 2, 1, go, and like that's, and it was strange because I remember doing that kind of shit. Like I had a hill that was near my apartment, and I would like get my jump rope, I'd jog over there as like a warm-up, and then just improvise a workout and all of this. And that's, in my mind, what at that time was like the core of what CrossFit was. It was a little stone wall, I'd do box jumps on it, I'd run up and down the hill, I'd do jump rope, I'd do whatever it was I'd figure it out. And then flash forward like 7 years later, and instead I'm thinking, maybe I should take private Olympic lifting classes to get my snatch numbers up. And it's like, and the thought of like going to like a hill and running up it and stuff like that is the furthest fucking thing from my mind. And yet that was represented very much what seemed to be the heart of CrossFit at that moment. And it just sort of brought that back to me in a very weird way. So, and I feel like that's sort of absent now in everything. So
yeah, there's some Lipson shows up in his hat. There's some moments in this that kind of stick out, but probably the number one thing is Camille's accent has not gotten better.
No, in all these years.
It's been 7 years.
Yes, 7
years.
Still
7 years, dude.
Yes.
In
still
the
no idea
meantime,
what
she's
plural
won the CrossFit Games.
Oh wait, here it comes. Here comes the we're watching it, and here comes the reveal of Froning. He's gonna pop up here any minute now.
They're on the balcony. They're talking about pranking the Rogue House.
Yes, he's talking about giving an upper decker to the Rogue House.
Yeah, or like stealing all their toilet paper.
Oh yes, which is a good prank. I like it.
And then at some point the camera pans left here, and you see the shy kid off to the side who's just hanging out, and who just happens to be a very skinny Rich Froning as well. He looks so tiny by comparison.
They all look very skinny.
Yeah.
None of them look like none of them could snatch more than 230 pounds. So
yes.
Now they all look like Dave Lipson.
Yes. Yes, Dave Lipson was there he is.
Oh, there's that cute little smile before his braces.
Yes, look at that.
Good work.
Yeah, CrossFit Games athlete Heather Bergeron is
Heather
on
Bergeron, athlete, is there.
These are really. I think the idea of this as a time capsule into CrossFit and where CrossFit was is a really fascinating way of looking at it, because in a way it's like CrossFit does such a good job of scrubbing their image into whatever they want people to understand it to be, but they can't take this away. Like they can't change this. And it's interesting insight. Like I watched the first episode and about half the second episode, so some of it mixes together for me. But it's interesting to see sort of like Jason Kleepa shows up, right, and then they make this like really weird, unique format for the competition.
Yeah, that's in episode 2. Spoilers,
right? And then Castro is kind of like he's being fucking Dave Castro. Nowadays we see Castro and we're like, fucking Dave Castro. He's being so Dave right now. And he was the same fucking person 7 years ago. He was doing the same shit.
Well, they still refer to him in his lower third as the Dave Castro. So he's already the Dave Castro.
That's right.
There's just an energy about, like, the other thing is what was amazing at the time is, like, these are all the athletes.
Oh, real quick. We have in the hot tub where Austin Maliello opening his mouth really for the first time, explaining contrast hydrotherapy.
Yes.
where they all jump in super cold water for 60 seconds and then jump in the hot tub for 3 minutes and do 5 rounds of that. And he's explaining the science behind it.
Yes, and that's and then of course in the background, shrinking Violet, Rich Froning. All right, and then we're coming up on yet another moment of inappropriate creeping on Camille.
That's
so
right.
Just a bunch of dudes hanging out in this hot tub, and then Camille tries to get into the hot tub, and it does not go unaddressed.
It gets very
That
awkward.
said, Camille is somewhat fishing for it here because there's a bunch of dudes in a hot tub and
Asking
she
for it, if you will.
Yeah.
She approaches in her
really
bikini.
shouldn't have been wearing that walking down the street,
Get
huh?
myself off.
Nothing inappropriate happens. Nothing inappropriate happens.
And yet not in any sense the worst thing
The
Cliff
one
said so
phrase you
far.
can't say.
Actually,
Once again, on the final episode of Scale as Needed.
that's the
We're really
second
gonna-
worst thing Cliff has said so far today.
It's important to hit all the
There
bases.
she is,
yeah, there
folks.
she is. She gets it, and everyone's like, "Whoa!" So this is
Pat
fun.
Barber is like, up, she killed the mood.
And there
We're
she
done
sits
here.
right next to Dave Lipson.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting moments here.
Yeah.
I think the odd thing here is, for me at least, is like I feel like we've watched the same people for so long that you almost again lose sight of what they were like when you first started watching them. And
When you liked them.
and now, or when they liked us.
When they liked us, that's right.
And now you kind of look at it and you're like, holy shit, like your 7 years ago was so different.
Yeah.
And also just the idea of Rich Froning has put so much work in.
Yeah, seriously.
7 years.
Jesus, he was so tiny back
Since
then.
this day, he hasn't lost the CrossFit Games. Can you imagine? He's just like a wallflower in this in this entire show. I didn't remember him being there.
Yeah.
Until I watched that first
Yeah.
episode, I was like, "What the fuck? Rich is on again, Faster's team."
No, that's the other thing is that like as you watch, I remember watching this the first time, and this is in subsequent episodes, but like Rich had kind of been my dark horse pick to win the games that year because I had seen his regional performance, and then he went on to almost win but not quite, and I was like pulling for him. And then I remember watching this, and like I think one of his first workouts that's coming up, I haven't watched this in years, but it's him versus Graham Holmberg in an overhead squat workout, and I remember just seeing him like just crush everybody.
It wasn't even
He was
fucking close, dude.
Yeah. But we'll get to that when we get to that episode. But it's just so funny because like I remember watching it and like being excited to see Rich was there and being excited to see his performance because he felt like he was my guy. And like he felt like, oh, he's the underdog. He almost made it. And like even as like no one's paying attention to him, I'm like, that's my guy. He's gonna show them all next year. And then now Rich Froning is just the Michael Jordan of the sport. And it's so funny to see that transition that's been made since then.
It really is interesting. Chris Spieler's there, Tommy Hackenberg,
Christy Phillips, who is still blonde and still Christy Phillips.
Right.
And Tanya Wagner is pregnant, and she's been pregnant the whole time.
She's been pregnant for
since then,
7
I believe.
years.
Yeah.
That's right.
She's been pregnant for 7 years
right.
since then.
There's a lot of really awesome moments, and we'll put the link inside of the description of the show so you guys can find it on their site and on
then
YouTube,
next week we'll tackle episode 2 because I remember once they get into the competition part, they start going back and forth, and what's hilarious, and this is what begins to emerge over the course of the competition, which we'll get into in greater detail later on, is that the team of underdog newcomers like Rich Froning and Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet, for some reason, keep beating all of the established people like Pat Barber on the, or no, I guess Pat's on the faster team, but all the established people like Chris Spieler and Rob Orlando and all this stuff who are on the Rogue team. So what's hilarious to watch is like, because even in this first episode, they're like, they're speaking very much. Everyone is assuming the Rogue team is going to smash them throughout all of this, and they end up continuing to pull ahead the whole time. So. Anyhow, it's just cool just because this was the first little back when there was very little CrossFit media being created. This was our first little window into the world that like all these people know each other and kind of hang out, and there's a whole thing like it's someone who wasn't in California and was very, very far away from it. This really was the first peek into anything behind the scenes, into that world, into that life, into any of that. And I was hoping that we would see more of that moving forward, and we really haven't. But it's fucking awesome though to watch. So
I would be the only thing I would be hesitant to agree with you on is that you said this might be the best piece of media that they've made, and I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think number 1 and number 2 is still the best documentary that they've put together, which is the Graham Holmberg, Rich Froning one before the 2011 CrossFit Games.
Yeah, I do. No, I remember that. Yeah,
Number 1 and number 2, I watch it on like a monthly basis.
Oh, really?
Because it's just that incredible.
I'll have to revisit this. I'm sure I watched it back in the day.
I
but
remember
don't
it, but what do you find incredible about it?
So even today, to this day, I feel like the Rich Froning that we see in that video is like an impossible to crush, like god level fitness Rich Froning, because he taught. I mean, and the sort of like obviously the storyline leaving 2010 was Graham Holmberg winning the CrossFit Games, Rich Froning losing the CrossFit Games or whatever, and you know they kind of Savan keeps hammering that point in, and they basically spend a day and a half or 2 days with Graham, and then they spend a day and a half or 2 days with Rich, and it's like the week before the CrossFit Games or 2 weeks before the CrossFit Games, and it goes through morning to morning comparing like apples to oranges, what their workouts are like.
It's earlier than that, before the CrossFit Games, I believe, because I remember watching that before seeing the next games when there was still an open question of which one would win.
Is this the video where Graham does double Fran at some point? I'm trying to think. I remember
possibly. He doesn't do it during that, but I feel like during that shoot he did
I remember speculating upon that, watching that before the games happened, of the pretty different programming between the two of them, because Graham Holmberg, they both do high volume.
So much volume.
But as I recall, Graham Holmberg is much more of the constantly varied variety, doing a wide variety of different creative combinations of things in CrossFit style, whereas Rich Froning is doing much more straightforward barbell volume strength work.
I mean, he was doing a lot of stuff, and it's really hard to say what he was or wasn't doing, because what they end up doing is they do like this 1-to-1 thing. It's like workout number 1, and Graham's workout number 1 is 30 squat clean thrusters for time at like 155 or whatever, and then like Rich's workout number 1 is like 5 rounds of 5 power cleans, 5 bench press at 205. And so like they keep going like 1-to-1 for all these different workouts. And then, they each get like 3 or 4 workouts in. Graham's like, all right, I'm going to go home and like take a nap and then maybe work out again later tonight. And it cuts back to Rich, and Rich does like 9 more workouts before leaving. And then it goes again. Graham goes and does like some workout that evening, and it cuts back over, and Rich is in his dad's barn doing even more workouts. And it's like, what the fuck is going on in Tennessee? What is this man doing? And it was this moment for me of just basically seeing Superman for the first time. That's what it felt like. And to this day, I still think like that chip on his shoulder to do what he was doing is more clear in that video than it's ever been in any other content since then.
Well, once you finish the Tahoe rewatch project, let's definitely revisit that, because I definitely haven't seen that in a long time.
If you don't address the Full of Hell shirt in front of you,
okay, so that's actually
Danny Soul's going to explode.
Who?
Danny Soul.
Danny? All right,
he wants you to talk about this shirt.
Danny, okay, I was asking Kyle about the Full of Hell. Danny is of course the owner of Soul CrossFit.
Oh, cool.
And current coach, you'll correct me, of Sam Briggs.
Oh, sweet.
And he is a giant metalhead, but also a douche because he doesn't like Tool. And fuck you guys. Anyway.
Yeah, dude.
I know you guys are all douches. I know it fits. It's perfect. Anyway, he wants us to address your stupid, unreadable shirt.
This is a Full of Hell shirt. Full of Hell is a band. They do a lot of really weird, interesting kind of stuff that mixes a lot of different extreme music genres together. Everything
extreme.
Everything from death metal to hardcore to grindcore to even mixing in stuff like noise rock and other things like noise music and stuff.
I mean, all those genre names sound so extreme.
Well,
There's like death and hard and metal and noise, and you got the word core and rock involved in there too. Just some combinations of those things.
Listen, Armin, I listen to underground shit, not that pop friendly shit. I'm pretty real. That's all I'm saying. I have a level of realness.
Basically, what he's saying is he doesn't listen to fucking Tool.
That's true.
But Tool is for tools.
Exactly.
Damn.
But
Also
That sums
true.
things
and
up.
Full of Hell just announced today that they will be they're going on tour, opening
That's
for
really mainstream. I'm not
opening
really
for
down
cattle.
that.
They're opening for cattle decapitation, revocation, and one other cool band. Who
that
else is
also
the-
ends with an Asian.
Yeah, I'm trying
So-
to remember.
Is Scrotal Decay on tour this summer?
Scrotal Decay?
Yes.
Is that an actual
No,
band?
Fortunately not.
Oh
That's
my
a fictional band that
It's
we
a
made up.
fictional band.
Oh, and Artificial Brain. That's right. So Full of Hell's going on tour with Cattle Decapitation, Artificial Brain, and Revocation. And so,
By the way,
you
this
know,
this
it's
could be
pretty
a
sweet.
game in the future. You could play it on all of us because I'm not familiar with too many of these band names, Kyle, where you list off 5 names for metal bands.
Oh, yes.
One of them you made up.
Yes.
The others are real.
Well, we could do that right now. Let's
I
see.
believed Scrotal Decay. So
All right, so here we go. Here we go. Abominable Putridity. Let's see. Rectal Befoulment. And Prostitute Disfigurement.
Wow.
Prostitute
That is metal.
Disfigurement is fake.
Incorrect.
What? No way!
No,
There's
it's a
an
real band.
actual band. There's like human beings who came
Yeah,
together and
they're
said, "We need
they're
to
on
get our
Spotify.
music across."
They're on Spotify.
And the name we're gonna
You can
use
look
to
up
do
Prostitute Disfigurement on Spotify right now, and just to prove, and you won't be able to unlook that up on your phone. So,
that. Prostitute Disfigurement. Here we go.
Yes.
All right, let's see. I'm gonna
Only the third worst thing that has been
no one
said
asked
on this
which,
podcast.
which one of the other was. It was rectal befoulment.
that was the
which
one. The only one I didn't recognize there. I'm familiar with enough of these.
Yes.
It's
Wow,
yeah.
Prostitute Disfigurement is an actual band.
Yes.
Also, how did you hear about this band when like their top played song has less than 4,000?
I go deep.
You are of the
Armin, you know that
Dude.
means nothing. You didn't
I
know
go
about a
deep.
You have
song
to
that had
know
12
that
million
if-
plays.
But seriously, in any of these kinds of genres, if you're looking for this music, you're not looking for it on Spotify,
right,
dude.
ladies and gentlemen. I present to you Prostitute Disfigurement's #1 hit single, "Body to Ravage."
Do it.
Why does it sound?
I think that just might be the noisy intro. Yeah, there we go.
Dude, this is pretty fucking metal.
Of course it's metal. What are you talking about?
With a name like Prostitute Disfigurement, what did you expect, man?
It better be metal.
Is Danny losing his fucking mind right now, or what?
The last thing he said was Armin 2001 called and asked for their CD case back.
Now, the related artists here is something that's giving me some.
How about you
pleasure.
read them out?
Severe Torture,
Yep.
Sure.
Inveracity, Disgorge,
Disgorge, yeah. Disgorge are a popular one.
Beheaded,
Yeah.
Skinless,
Skinless are kind of a very popular band, yeah.
Gorgasm,
I'm not familiar.
not bad.
Disavowed, Avulsed, and
There are many sillier names than these.
Devourment,
I feel like these are all very tame names.
Putrid Pile.
Putrid Pile. They're legendary.
They're legendary.
Yep.
Legendary in what sense?
But that being said, I actually prefer a different band. There's a new
Septical Gorge.
There's a new. I'm not really a big fan of brutal death metal, but there is a good brutal death metal band out now called Putridity, which often gets confused in my mind with Putrid Pile. But Putridity, I would recommend checking out. They're really
Interesting.
good. Yep.
Yep, found them.
Yep.
Let's see.
wait, which one? Let me see.
I was gonna put cannibalistic. What I don't even know what's.
Oh,
the
which
rest
one?
of-
Which band is this? Oh,
Putridity.
Putridity. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, the band you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Let's
there
go
we go.
ahead and play
Yeah.
the Bone Sculpture.
Sculptor.
Oh,
Or it's Sculpture. It's either one. I don't even know. It's pretty good though.
what is
Wait,
this?
is this even a
What is
podcast
this
anymore?
I don't even know what the hell's going on. All right, you guys don't listen to any of those bands. None of those bands are
Listen
good.
to all of those bands.
None of them are good.
But more
and they
importantly,
don't deserve your attention.
Decrepit Birth has a new album coming out soon, which I'm very excited about. I've been waiting a long fucking time. Decrepit Birth are fucking great, you know, and they haven't.
Talking about?
Yes.
What are you?
You know, and you know where
How do you even? How as like?
But wait for it. You know where Decrepit Birth is from? At least part of the band, Santa Cruz, California, home of CrossFit.
Bring it around.
Bringing it
Boom.
back.
Very
Yeah.
strong. Very strong. All right.
That was a stretch.
I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I no longer want to
Check out Decrepit Birth.
Do
It's
that.
Diminishing Between Worlds. It's a really great album.
Wow. And then we're going to go ahead and just check on our reviews.
Well, before we check on the reviews, I just need to do our weekly check-in.
Ooh, that's right. How far are we? We are at 20 days.
We're at 20 days.
4 minutes and
brought up the counter
45
here.
seconds.
I am still at 0 muscle-ups.
Still at 0.
Okay. Oh, by the way, so weight loss quest. This
yeah.
is relevant to this. I discovered that I was using my keto strips incorrectly.
Yes.
And I advised your fiance incorrectly. She asked how to use the. She was getting the keto strip. Yeah, there's suppositories. And I was like, well, I don't want to like keep a cup next to the toilet and pee into it and dip the strip in. It works just as well to pee directly onto the strip, except it doesn't work just as well to pee directly onto the strip, as I've found out, because there's a thin reactive layer, and my powerful stream was washing away much of that layer. So I've discovered that you can get much more accurate and much better results that are much more easily legible, readable, by peeing into a... So now I keep a small ramekin next to the toilet that I pee into, and then I dip the strip directly in. Far more effective.
And
so
then
don't
you
pee on the
drink
strip.
it
Yes.
to complete the circle.
Yes.
I am I was at your house the other day.
Did you drink out of the ramekin?
I'm glad I didn't. I had no idea that that's what the thing that you piss into is sitting by the toilet. I pissed in that toilet several times. Thank God I didn't think to touch whatever that was.
Yeah, and you had no
I don't
idea.
even know what a ramekin is.
You had no idea it was a piss chalice. By the way, Piss Chalice, great band.
Hey!
With obviously their first album, Piss Full of Chalice.
Piss full of chalice, yeah.
Chalice full of piss? My bad.
Something.
Either way.
For a few chalice more.
And you also are taking more supplements now.
Yes. Oh, yeah. These I think are going to be good. These are going to be helpful. I was reading about the benefits of collagen.
Unlike the myriad other supplements.
I was reading about the benefits of taking collagen. Apparently collagen, and this is the main things they said, it's good for cartilage and tendon strength and health, which, considering the issues I have had with cartilage and tendon strength, like them suddenly rupturing and putting me in the hospital, I would say that I would have been taking that all along if I had known that, so that's good. And then additionally, I started looking into boron as a because apparently boron helps free up some of your existing testosterone.
Like the noble gas?
Like the element on the periodic table.
I don't know if it's noble gas.
Yeah.
I just said that. I said that out loud as if I knew what it was. And
It's
I
a
didn't
heavy
know what it
metal.
was.
But boron, I was watching some video just about how it helps. Apparently, a lot of the testosterone that's in your body is not actually usable because it's bound to some sex-binding globulin, and therefore, by the way,
Also
globulin, good band, sex-binding
Sex-binding
globulin.
globulin. Boron, the sex-binding globulin.
But apparently taking boron can help free up a lot of that testosterone for use within your body. So I, of course, ordered it immediately.
Boron, not a noble gas.
Not a noble gas.
I didn't think it was. I definitely fucked
Feels like
that
a
up.
What if you were right? What if you were
If I was right, I
so
definitely
excited.
would have said I thought that
You
was
definitely
it.
would have said suck it and leaned back in your chair.
That's right. That's right. But I wasn't right, and therefore I'm going to just go to...
So I've added those things. Cliff has decided, though, to streamline his supplementation.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm taking way too many here, so I'm just slowly paring them back, and would have pared them back even further to just 10, except then Kyle sent me that one boron video, and I was like, fuck, I have to order boron.
Yes.
But
old habits die hard.
I know. If it were expensive, I wouldn't take it, but I saw that it was really cheap, and it's like, fuck it. So could always use more tea. So should be just 11 different kinds of pills I'll be taking.
Yeah, which is it's really rolling it back to 11.
How is that good for you?
It's probably not. I mean, I'll be honest. I just had to replace all of my other far more damaging compulsive behaviors with this new one. So I'm probably taking a dangerous amount of different kinds of supplements, but it's better in that it scratches the itch that I was previously scratching with tons of booze and pizza.
Right. Well, you do bring up a good point, which is since the beginning of the year, you have replaced alcohol with Oreos and sour dip or sour cream dip.
Yeah.
And now you've replaced Oreos and sour cream dip with pills.
With pills, yeah, exactly.
Boron pills.
And occasionally some carrots and guac, you know, for a party.
Yeah.
For a party type of.
If you're really going wild at a party,
wild, yeah.
wilding out.
Yeah,
So
wilding out.
next step is when he comes full circle and hits OxyContin.
Yes, that's right.
Opioid
Opioids. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, that's a really happy note.
Yes.
So we're gonna go ahead and
We've
check
gone
out our reviews
to some interesting places over the course of this podcast.
Yeah.
What a great way to end this
didn't even
journey
make
that we've called Scale is Needed.
Yeah,
up to
we
this
didn't
point.
even make it to a full year, guys. It was great.
Yes.
It was
Tune
great
in
while
next
it
week
lasted.
to see just Chase in front of a camera with a microphone.
reading
the new
our
Scale is Needed.
reading our apologies.
It's like cut to Chase's cam because that's what it's going to look like next week, the entire podcast. With Chase giving a dramatic monologue.
Are there new? Is there one? Is there even a new one?
Uh-oh.
There's
I see a
one?
3-star review.
That is a 3-star review, and it's big. Hold on, let's
big ass
get to the
3-star review.
more.
We need to
Click
see more
more.
on that.
Uh-oh.
You
More here.
son of a bitch.
That's fantastic. All right, so let's see. CCP. Who gives a shit what your name is? It's like Eddie F. wrote a script about geek CrossFitters, 3 stars out of 5. If that sounds good to you, fine. You'll love this. All the swearing and lewd humor. Plus
I hope he
source
listens.
of it.
I think we can just stop right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Swearing,
Yeah.
lewd humor.
Yeah,
He
we're
spelled
not-
lewd wrong.
Let's not honor this guy
comic
by
book reviews.
Let's not honor this guy by reading the whole thing because fuck it, let's read the whole thing. Let's
All
do
right.
it. Yeah.
Personally, I've never liked listening to a couple of grown men giggling nonstop and talking over each other, so I gave up on Barbell Shrugged. Brutal. This is like that, but with movie and game reviews. We've talked about games?
No.
Wow.
Not at all.
Gave it 3 stars for potential. I've always enjoyed the Wadcast podcast, Drywall, BSD, etc. It's just that the nonstop giggling at every little thing gets old fast to me.
Then he'll love this episode.
This episode,
Yeah.
Like Barbell Shrugged, which usually gets to some useful information after a lot of giggling, I suppose this
Spelled
podcast...
useful wrong.
Yep.
2 L's.
I suppose this podcast gets there too. I usually ride with others in the car, and for both podcasts,
This is where it gets really good, guys.
everyone, all CrossFitters, asks me to turn the nonsense off.
Ooh.
We usually switch to something professional, like Freakonomics or something,
You're a smart guy. Smart guys listen to Freakonomics.
just
He's a
to get
smarty
some
pants.
info in before the ride ends. I'm
Why is
going to
every
try a
trip
few more episodes,
educational?
and I'll revise my review if necessary. Listen,
Oh,
let's
I
go
hope
ahead
you
and-
try this one.
Let's go ahead and just
I really do.
let's chalk that one up as a 1-star review from CCP D33R. What I don't even know what your name means. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But you should definitely check out Prostitute Disfigurement.
Yes. What? It's amazing to
Google
think of the different things we've done to shake him off up to this point. At what point did he check out of
I don't
this
know,
episode?
because this episode really just kind of encapsulate everything that he was talking about that he
Yes.
hates about our podcast. But we didn't even talk about movies.
No, we didn't. Or games.
As
As we are wont to do.
never
We've been
talked
bumping
about games.
Yes,
we've
we've
been
been bumping.
We're going to keep bumping the games.
We kind of
Yeah.
talked about fitness.
We did, actually.
Oddly enough, we
Very
actually
briefly.
talked
For
about
way too
fitness
long.
for much of this
fair
podcast.
amount of fitness talk in there. So is that all for reviews for right now?
I believe.
Is that one from the
this one
20th new?
No,
is
that one's
new.
from that's from last time, isn't
Is
it?
it?
Yeah, I think so. I think that was the one.
Good.
Yeah,
We already did. We already talked about.
So
Matt
I've looked
Nelson.
a little bit at international reviews.
Uh-oh.
They're all bad.
I don't. So my problem is I don't know that there's a way to quantify them without We'll figure something out.
Interesting.
But we're getting there.
We're getting close, Scalers Nation.
Yeah.
To the torque mile. We need
I think
what?
we settled on last time. What was it? 7 more 5-star reviews. Any nationality, whatever. And I think we're getting there. I'm gonna need to look into. I found a couple of services that might help us out.
Nice.
With pulling those reviews. But that will
postal
require
service.
Armin to use his budget.
Yes.
For his department.
Well,
I have,
anyway, we'll
I
get
has
to
no
that
budget,
later.
I has no department.
But it's up to you, Scalers Nation. We are less than 10 5-star reviews away from harming ourselves again.
So, guys, you know what would be really great? As a birthday present, 2 Scale is Needed, which will hit 1 year old next week.
Oh, Oh, nice. So that's the one.
You guys should cross us. Get
That's
us across the
52.
finish line.
Oh,
52.
wow.
Episode 52.
Yeah, so for episode 52, it's very important, everyone. We are going to have a very special guest for our 1-year anniversary episode, probably. And so help us celebrate that with 150 5-star reviews.
It's definitely not the actual 1 year anniversary.
No, it couldn't
because
be.
our first episode was after the games.
Exactly.
Last year.
Yes.
But
We have done more episodes on occasion.
the
that's probably what it
secret
is.
first episode, the
Yes.
hidden episode, was after the first after the games last year. So
We need to find when the actual 1-year anniversary is, because it's actually going to be before the games this year, because the games are in August this year.
Yeah, I blame Armin's naming convention.
Yeah.
That's okay.
what's starting with 1 and going up numerically?
There's
a couple bonus
specials.
episodes.
exactly.
That's right. That's
that.
a good point.
Yeah.
There's a couple bonus.
It
episodes
could
in
have
there.
been bonus episode.
That's right.
Instead, it was numerical. You fucked up, Armin.
That said, yes, we have our 52nd episode next week, and
Only
if-
50 seconds long, folks.
50 seconds long.
on that note, give me your goddamn.
I am at Mr. Kyle Bogart on the best goddamn Instagram account. I am at Mr. Kyle Bogart on the Instagram account where you, Scalers Nation, can see Armin wearing pants in the gym. So go there now at Mr. Kyle Bogart and shame him.
Like and
I
share
need to
that.
start following that guy. I am at Cliff Bogart on an Instagram account that doesn't have much on it.
And I'm at a Supersonic Man on Twitter, Instagram, etc. And I host the Hot Tag Podcast, which you can also find on iTunes if you like pro wrestling.
Probably has better 5-star reviews than we do. Not a bunch of men giggling over each other.
Yes.
And you can find me at Armin Hoists on all the things. Thank you so much, folks, for listening, and thank you to D-Rob for sending me a picture of your poop. I really appreciate you doing that.
Wait, huh?
Yep. Just checking my text right here at the end of the show, and I have text of a deuce in a toilet. It says, "Have a good show."
What?
So, thanks for that, D-Rob. Really appreciate it. You look healthy, bud. I'll tell you that. Looks real healthy. Not a doctor, but good job. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. And if this episode did not convince you to never listen to the show again, welcome to the family. That's all I got to say. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.